When you want someone to understand the things that have come with the ideas, you do it by talking, or like a show and tell. You want them to get on the same road that you're on, and that road is based on the ideas. So every department, you need to get with them and describe to them with words what it is that you're after to make those ideas come true. So if it's a production design, you talk about furniture, and you talk about rooms, windows, light. You talk about what things go in the place and how it goes, and the feeling it is, that the time, is it the 1940s, the 50s? Is it, completely outside of any of that, like science fiction or some kind of strange place? And you describe it to them, and then they understand it. And they might bring drawings, and then you say, well, that's just about right, but this thing is not quite right, and this and this and this. And then they finally get going down the same road. Same way with every department, same way with every actor. You just keep going till we're all going down the same road. It's not because I want them to be, I want it. It's because the ideas want to be that way. When you get an idea, you see it. So you know what it looks like. And so if you could start building and keep checking the idea, theoretically, you could build exactly what's in your head, what the idea looks like. In this world, you can build some sets, but you could also find locations. And locations could be very close to what's in your head and fill the bill. But not only that, sometimes locations will give you more gifts, more ideas, because, oh, look at that. And oh, that could work then, and ideas flow from those. It's really strange. A set would just be exactly what's in their mind based on the idea, but locations can sometimes be even more than that. These are oil tanks that once existed underneath the Beverly Center. And this set of oil tanks had a donut of earth that went around it. So you couldn't really see it from the street. The donut of earth was there in case one of the tanks burst. This wall of earth around would hold the oil from going, too far away. And so you go up and down into this world. It's absolutely magical. This here is high art. This is one of the most beautiful places on earth, and it's now gone. I do drawings, but they're very poor little drawings. I do drawings to show where the furniture is and where the people will be moving. But while I'm doing the drawings, I'm also talking to them about different things. So they could look at the drawing and not much is there, but if they remember the words, then they can go and, do the thing. Well, I'll show you a pathetic thing. Okay, so here's the couch. And here's the, and then she'd be sitting, right here. And then she's going to get up and go to the window. You got to have that window here. And then he's going to pull the curtain back. You got to have curtains there. And this is like an old, run down place. So it's going to have mopboard. It's going to be, like so. It's a standing lamp here. And then, he's going to look out. And then Pete will come in here. And so behind Pete, we got this side, this door. It's an oval top thing. And and this is old wallpaper along in here. And you come in, and she turns, and she sees that he's got a gun. And so he's here like this and points his gun at her. She didn't see him come in. If you can remember the words, if you looked at it later, you'd say, what the hell? On Dune, Tony Masters was the production designer. Great, 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 great British production designer. I went for a boat ride one night in Venice, Italy, and these strange mansions were coming out of the black water, and it just was like another world. And some of this, not all of it, but some Italian design, I started talking to Tony about these things, and that was the angle on a lot of the sets that he designed, and some of the costumes and some of the props. When it's not of this world, it could be anything, but it needs to be something. So you get an idea of what that something is, and then you build that. In this case, it was a fleshy grasshopper. That was the idea. You look at a grasshopper and make it flesh, and then you get pretty close. Carlo Rambaldi built it. He built E.T. And the thing, a lot of artists, they build themselves. To me, the Guild Navigator and E.T., both of them look like Carlo Rambaldi. Jack Fisk is my best friend. I met Jack when we were in the 9th grade. First thing I ever told Jack was a lie. He said, what grade are you in? I said, I'm in the 10th grade. We became great friends because out of, I don't know how many, 4,000 people in our high school, we were, two of a few that wanted to become painters. And so we had 4 different studios that we worked in during high school, and then ended up together in Philadelphia going to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. And one of my 4 wives was Jack's sister, Mary. So Jack is family and my best friend, and we share this, living the art life thing, which is super important. We worked together on Mulholland Drive, and Jack became a great, production designer. And so he was production designer on Mulholland Drive and on The Straight Story. And his wife, Sissy, was in The Straight Story. There's very little room to move in a way, unless they give you an idea that you say, oh, that would be incredible. And, that can happen. Or they fulfill the idea so beautifully, you just can't imagine it being any better. That was the case with Jack, for sure. And but it would be wrong to say, Jack, you do whatever you want. And this department, you guys bring me any kind of props you want. And you guys bring me those clothes, anything goes with me. This thing's not going to hold together. It's not a compromise, and it's not exactly mutual collaboration. And it's not an ego trip for the director. It's to stay true to the ideas. Why wouldn't you want that to be the thing? Why would you want a whole bunch of unrelated things and the thing isn't going to hold together? When you're location scouting, Absolutely. You're looking for locations that fit the idea that you saw in your mind. And before you go out looking, you see many photographs. So the photographs that hold promise, then you have to go see the actual location and see if it fits the idea. I can tell, pretty quick, if it's going to work or not. If the idea says it's this way, you try to find the thing that fits the idea. And, you see a thing like in the case of Pete Dayton's house in Lost Highway, the driveway was on the left, the door was there, the living room we will enter into. On the right is a hallway that goes down to the bedrooms, and the kitchen is over here. Because the idea, when you see it, movements are all, there in the idea. And so you try to get the location so it flow like it does in the idea. Corey is the script supervisor. Studying her face is very, very beautiful. So we get to this location, and I guess maybe I saw that balcony up there. I don't know what triggered it, but I said, Corey, come over here. And I just started looking at her face. And she said, what is it? I said, I want you to be in this. And she said, no, I don't want to do it. And I said, Corey, and then I got the costume, designer and started talking about this dress and all this stuff. Pretty soon, Corey came out, and she was just beautiful. And there she was, has the last line in the film. No, it's just the idea part. How can you take it just happens? Patty Norris was production designer. And she came to me and she said, David, they want to tear this cabin set down. I'm coming to you to make sure you're, finished, with it, and would take it down. And I said, well, let me think about that. Don't take it down. But she started this thing going, and I went over to Gary D'Amico's trailer, and Gary is special effects. And I say, Gary, could you blow up that cabin? So Gary went to work, and I told Patty we're gonna blow it up. And so not only are we gonna blow it up, but we're gonna shoot it in reverse. And what was even more beautiful, since Gary didn't have the things he would have used, he came up with these balloons of gasoline and other things that he had, and it was a soft explosion. It was soft and different than it would have been. The wind and dust and the soft explosion, it was so beautiful. I think we had 3 cameras on it, and it was just a magical thing. And it came out of, do you want it torn down or not? It's like along the way, ideas can come, and you say, oh, that is so necessary. It changed the thing. When you have that thing going, it's a magical place. It feeds into the mystery of everything. And it gives a feeling. It gives a feeling and gives a thinking and it's just incredible thing that came along. There's many stories connected to that particular scene right there. It was so cold, I went to this outdoor sporting store and got clothes, and the guy said, these clothes, you could be warm at the North Pole. I was freezing in those same clothes that night. It worked, the cold worked into the bones. We were shooting this scene, and it came time to move into the close-ups, and we got in there. Both James and Donna were shaking. They were so cold, and snot was coming out of their nose. Their noses were bright red, and it would have been a joke to try to make this, thing there at night with that weather. So we pulled the plug and went home. The next day, we woke up, there was 2 feet of snow on the ground. So all the things we were supposed to do that day were we couldn't do them. And then I think it was probably Patty had the idea, come to my workplace, and on the second floor up the ramp is this concrete area. We open up all the windows, bring in some trees, and we can shoot those close-ups right there. It'll be cold enough to see their breath, and it will be beautiful. And that's exactly what we did. Indoors, daytime, against 2 cut-down trees.